Hey viewers, please don't forget to subscribe if you like the channel. Let's go.
What is your reaction when you found your SO cheating on you? What happened? So, met my wife while I was working in another country, ended up moving to said country 6 months later so we could be together. She has a daughter, treated her as my own since the kid was 15 months old, loved her unconditionally, worked my ass off to make sure there's food on the table, usual stuff. Our daughter calls me daddy, good enough for me. Got married in 2016. Got made redundant by the company I was working for 2 years later, NBD, moved back to Australia, got another job, went through the process of getting her and my daughter's visa, great fun, recommended, alternatively you can just shove pine cones up your own ass. They came over, everything was great. Fast forward to 2020. Only issue is she still didn't have a job after 2.5 years being here, some half-hearted attempts and semi-serious discussions about courses, but we were in love, and I don't really need her working to support us. Just before this COVID-19 nightmare kicked off, things were off, can't describe it any better. We had just had our 4th wedding anniversary, cooked her favorite foods, lots of statements of love, usual stuff, but something was off. Thought maybe I just needed some downtime from work. Was home from work for the day, her and my daughter go for a push bike ride to the park, hear a buzzing, thought she left her phone at home and wanted to answer. It was my phone in another room but met in case it was her mother or something, looked in her handbag, no phone, but saw a piece of paper with the words, "Termination Clinic," written on it. Brain went to DEFCON 1. Grab it, open it, there's a second piece of paper with it, positive pregnancy test. World implodes. Message her, demand she comes home, send daughter to her room, flat out ask her if she has something she wants to tell me. She lied for a while till I pulled the pieces of paper out of my pocket. Turns out she met this guy at our daughter's school. He has used the standard pickup bullshit when she said she was married, said her husband must be the jealous type. Ended up inviting her for coffee, ended up having sex, apparently just once, and she got pregnant. She was booked in to have a termination on the Friday, this was a Wednesday. Figured who his wife was on Facebook and message bombed her and all her friends with the details. Still haven't gotten my hands on him. The one time I saw him in the car he ran 5 reds at 160 plus to run away from me, probably for the best. When I get my hands on him, things will not go well for the prick. She's still in the house, has sworn it was a one-time thing and it will never happen again, and wants us to stay together. It took me 3 weeks to calm down enough to even speak to her without ripping in. Fast forward 5 months, I still don't know what to do. If I throw her out, I will lose my daughter, who means more to me than anything on this planet. This is the 3rd time a woman has cheated on me in a long-term relationship, starting to think it's me. Don't know what's going to happen, do know I will never trust her fully ever again. NFI what happens now, wish the nightmares would stop. Dated a girl for almost 5 years. We met at a restaurant we both worked at and hit it off instantly. Our relationship was great until I started bartending at a popular weekend bar club which pretty much everyone in town goes to. She was always insecure, but when I started working here it got insanely worse. I couldn't make friends or be seen talking to anyone without being accused of cheating or trying to have sex with other girls. I'm a handsome guy and always had women, even men throwing themselves my way, especially on Friday, Saturday nights. But I stay 10 toes down, I'm loyal as can be. Although our relationship was shit and I was miserable with her, I refused to cheat. Anyways, February 2020, my birthday month comes along and she grows more and more distant. I knew our relationship was going downhill. She was hanging out with her coworkers a lot. A lot. There were even times I would hang out with all of them just to see her. Always blew me off for hanging with this group of people. One night her parents are frantically calling me looking for her, because they haven't heard from her in hours. This happened the prior weekend as well. I'm at work stressed all night cause I'm worried for her safety. I get off and call her phone, her friends, coworkers, everyone. It's 3 a.m. and I'm driving through town trying to find her. She finally calls me after blowing up everyone in my contact list saying she went out of town with said coworkers and didn't want her parents knowing. Eventually she told me that was a lie and what really happened was she fell asleep in her car, outside some dude's house and she blacked out, doesn't remember a thing. This is the dude who works with her and is also included in the group she's been hanging out with a lot. Of course I was furious. I'm no half-wit, I knew what was going on. My intuition is golden. But I trusted her. The next few weeks she avoided me, and I did everything I could to talk to her face to face about what happened. She'd promised to come to my place after work, but ended up getting drunk with her coworkers instead. Which of course, the dude in question was included. Every damn day. So after about a week or two I told her to fuck off because I'm done with her. She constantly told me she didn't cheat, but I knew for a fact she was spending time with this guy. They were definitely interested in each other. I knew because we'd all hang out and I could feel it, I could see it. I could sense it like crazy, but my heart told me to trust her. I trusted the people she was around, I trusted they'd say something to me or tell her to just break it off with me instead of wasting my time. I gave the benefit of the doubt to this guy and group of coworkers who I've shared joints beers with. But birds of a feather flock together. Snakes will always slither. Oh and yeah, she's in love with the guy after about 4 months past ending our relationship of 5 years. You think you know people until they show their true colors. It taught me a valuable lesson, and I'm the happiest I've been in 5 years. I forgot what freedom feels like. Someone else's crazy bitch to deal with now LMAO. I was in denial for a very, very long time. I got married young to my high school girlfriend before I deployed in the military. We didn't have a lot of time as a married couple before I left for 8 months. But during the time away I didn't notice anything out of the ordinary. She decided to move to my base a month before I got home so she could welcome home the other platoon in my company, specifically my best friend at the time. It had also been decided that we were going to split a home with this friend and his wife, so it was 2 married couples in the home but his wife wouldn't come out for several more months. I didn't actually make any of these decisions and was just told that this was what was happening as it happened. During the next year and a half before I deployed again, she got more distant. It started as just not coming to bed when I went and instead staying up to watch a movie with the other man in the house before his wife moved from home to join us. It progressed to being ignored during a very difficult time in my life while I struggled every day. I would wake up in the middle of the night screaming and sweating to no wife beside me and go downstairs to find her. She would be in his bed, clothed and not under the blankets or touching, watching a movie. I knew she was cheating, I just could feel it. I'd come home without making any noise and watch through the window for a few minutes to see if I could catch them doing anything at all, even kiss. But I never saw a thing and didn't have any evidence. I asked anyone that knew her or hung out with her if she was doing anything behind my back and no one said she was. She of course, would deny it every time I'd press her about it. Somehow she would instead turn it around on me every time and I would walk away the bad guy. This progressed until the lease was up and we moved into separate homes. I thought things would be different and she would give me more attention and actually spend time with me. Instead she just found other friends that I didn't know. She started going out with a girlfriend of hers and she would stay out late or wouldn't come home at all with just a text saying her ride drank too much and she can't drive or something. We only had one car and she didn't have a license so it was a believable excuse. Again, I was in a dark place. Definitely the hardest, longest and darkest period of my life. All I wanted was someone to be with, physically, emotionally and supportively. So I was easy to manipulate and I was naive in thinking this woman, my wife, was that someone. We grew more distant as my training ramped up towards deployment and I would spend the week in the field. I was also falling deeper into depression. Eventually I quit caring about what she was doing or who she was doing it with and I started to live my own life with my friends instead. This led to her actually accusing me of not being faithful. When I deployed the second time, she convinced me that we should keep the rental house we had outside base instead of her going home. My truck got hit by a IED my second week in country. I was fine but got a good concussion and was put on limited duty for a couple weeks. My unit and I spent the better part of a week trying to get in touch with her to let her know what had happened. Even going so far as sending guys to check the house for her. She did eventually answer, but I was done by this point. 4 months into deployment, I finally decided to check my bank account and see how much money I had saved during my time at war. The account was negative. The last couple charges were restaurants, each more than a single person could eat or drink alone. I changed my life insurance policy, banking information and emergency contact information that night. The following day I sent my mom and a high school friend to get my personal belonging out of the house, get me off the lease and tell her we're done and she's not getting any more money from me. They found the house practically destroyed and 2 men there with her. After we got home from deployment, all my friends told me that they knew she was cheating on me and just didn't tell me for some reason or another. I haven't seen her since I left for that second deployment 10 years ago. I've struggled with relationships since her and never trusted anyone, even doing what I hated her for doing. Not proud of that, but it happened. I finally found my perfect match who put up with my mistrust and bullshit. We've been married for a year and a month now. I'm very happy with where my life has taken me since her. For those of you who put up with my rambling story to the end, thanks for listening. I guess it still bugs me inside a bit that she did that to me when I needed her the most. And my best friend who we shared a house with, we're still friends and we talk occasionally. He confessed a few years ago to sleeping with her those months that we shared a home. I forgive him. At the 4-year mark of being with my GF, I moved a couple states away to pursue a better job opportunity while she stayed home and wrapped up some classes to be a nurse anesthetist. Things seemed fine and I even helped get her a job at a coveted hospital where I was at. She moved out to where I was about 9 months later and all the excitement from her seemed gone. She was never thankful for me helping her out and she always seemed bitter. A family member was getting married, so I flew across country for it. She was supposed to come, but canceled last minute saying work wasn't letting her go. Okay, no problem. I've been gone for 3 days, no call or texting from her, which was weird. Then my roommate calls and asks, "Where did your GF go?" Confused, I tell him that she's staying at the house and must have weird hours so they're missing each other. No, none of the 3 roomies had seen her and my dogs were crying in the bedroom. I tell him to let the dogs out and check the closet. Opens the door to piss and crap on the floor in an empty closet. She had upped and left. What? Why would she just leave? Especially locking our dogs in the room for days without food or water. Furious, I get a hold of her parents and tell them to have her call me. Happily they exclaim that she's moved in with her new BF in another different state. I should add, her family and I did not get along. Through sleuthing and from her friends that liked me more than her, turns out that soon after I moved away, she met some guy on a girls' trip. They had hooked up on the trip and she was regularly going down to see him. I came to find out that he knew of me and got a kick out of the whole thing. They almost immediately got engaged and then married after this mess. I honestly took it well cause it turns out nobody liked her. Friends and family came out of the woodwork to tell me how much they despised her. Her friends came to me after to say the same, in that everyone felt dirty watching her treat me like she did. I turned my life in a different direction where I started a new career and lost a ton of weight. This is where the story gets fun. Fast forward a couple years. The new guy is in the army, so he would regularly get deployed, and now does contract work for the military overseas. The unstable ex did not handle that well at first. They'd been married for a year and I had moved back to my home state, she had too. I get a call to come over so we can bury the hatchet. I was doing well in life, bought a house and was happy living the singles life. I say, what the hell, I'm cool with putting this behind me. I go to their house, she lets me in and before the convo gets beyond, hello, she takes off what little clothes she has on and I am frozen. First thing that runs through my head is, good lord, am I lucky that I escaped this nutty girl. Then that little devil on my shoulder said, "It's payback time." This happened off and on for a year before I actually started dating someone and immediately called it off. Looking back at it, I'm so very glad that I got out when I did, and the experience hammers home the point of once a cheater, always a cheater. Two wrongs probably didn't make a right, but that revenge tasted oh so sweet. 6-year-long relationship. Honestly, we had always had a bit of difficult time. She was often an angry person with a lot of baggage. Told me early on that she had been raped in high school, had a very serious heart problem, always turned to anger when there was conflict, etc. I suspected, and her sister agrees with me, that she has some form of borderline personality disorder, bipolar disorder, narcissism personality disorder, possibly schizophrenia. Just not a mentally healthy person. I can't get across in few words how unwell she'd act sometimes. And occasionally it became too much for me. I tried to stick with the relationship because I loved her and justified to myself that her abuse wasn't her fault. She was sick. I was willing to help her with that and be with her as long as she wanted that as well. We hadn't gotten married yet because of our agreed concerns about money and not being in a rush for that. So it's right after our 6-year anniversary. She had been away from home for days at a time lately due to her exploring a new work opportunity. I had, around May, caught her talking to a guy behind my back who Grieve Group had all stopped talking to because of allegation that he had abused his girlfriend and their cat. She admits she still talked to him because she didn't believe he had done those things, and didn't tell me because she thought I'd be mad. I give her the benefit of the doubt and assure her that's okay. In June, she comes to tell me that she is going to check herself into a resident hospital for mental health, and tells me she'd like to break up with me while she does this so that she can focus entirely on herself, and, when she's done, we can come back together. I'm both proud of her and glad that she's taking her mental health seriously, but also concerned because I obviously don't want to end our relationship over this and don't think it's necessary. I ask her not to break up with me, that I'm happy to give her space if she needs that for as long as it takes, but that if she really doesn't want to be with me anymore then that's different and we can break up. After some discussion she agrees that we'll remain together, but I need to respect her and her space. Of course I'm happy to support her through this. However, I'm told that I'm not allowed to tell anyone of our friends and family what she's really doing. I can't discuss this with a soul. She cites being afraid that people will judge her. She spends a year apart from me. We continue to talk to each other over text because she insists it's okay for me to do that when I tell her I don't want to be bothering her while she's taking care of herself. But as the months go on and I start struggling to afford our apartment alone, I start asking if she sees an end date coming up. She keeps claiming she's not ready to come home yet. I'm trying not to push her about this because I don't want to break my promise to be patient, but this is taking longer than I felt was appropriate for her own sake, and I was continuously lying to everyone I knew about her, and that was affecting me. I see her once on Valentine's Day when she finally agreed to come visit. She had somehow put on a decent amount of weight while she was claiming she spent most of her days writing, working out, and attending her various therapy classes. The second she walks in the door before I even really say hi, she makes an excuse about why we can't have weed while she's there. She also leaves within 3 hours of arriving, claiming she had another appointment she needed to go to. It's then late May of this year, about a week before what would be our 7-year anniversary. I'm at home sick with COVID. She uses the pandemic and my own illness as a justification for why she can't leave the hospital to come visit. I get a message from my best friend. He tells me he doesn't know how to talk about this, so he's just gonna send me the picture. It's my GF, at a party and not social distancing, with a bunch of friends including that guy. I confirm it's a recent picture, like that weekend, because it's a graduation party dated 2020. You know the weekend I mean. I reach out to her with the picture to ask what's going on, and ask her to come talk to me since I'm improved. She responds the next afternoon and tells me it's over between us and she doesn't want to be with me anymore. I find out from her sister and putting some puzzle pieces together in the weeks that follow that she had never gone to a hospital and had moved in with her parents when she left. That she had been cheating on me with this guy since at least May of 2019, and probably sooner. That she had told her family that we had mutually broken up last June. And more truth besides. She hadn't quit her job like she said, she didn't have a debilitating heart condition like she said, she most likely, so her sister suspects, hadn't actually been raped in high school. She's just more sick than I thought, a chronic liar, and had been stringing me along for the past year with promises about coming home soon when she clearly had no intention.